Welcome to Debunked, your guide to the conspiracy theories, rumors, and sometimes truths that lurk at the margins of the internet. I'm Michael Brooks. Does Hillary Clinton face an overwhelming amount of sexism from Bernie Sanders supporters on Twitter? Now, I put out a video a couple of weeks ago debunking the myth of the quote-unquote Bernie bro. And it was an argument saying, look, as far as attacks on Hillary Clinton go from Bernie Sanders supporters that are in any way misogynist, they are never coming from campaign surrogates for Bernie Sanders, supporters in media, journalists, anybody with any type of high profile that supports Bernie Sanders is never making a sexist argument on his behalf. That's ludicrous. Who knows what everybody's saying online? A lot of different people say a lot of different horrible things. It's inexcusable, but let's not blow this out of proportion and be disingenuous. Now, we actually have some research on anonymous Twitter supporters of Bernie Sanders, or I should say Twitter supporters, not anonymous, but people who support him in social media and people who support other candidates. And two people writing in the Washington Post, Rebecca Tromble and Dirk Hovey, have shown in 6 charts just how much sexism Hillary Clinton faces on Twitter. Now, there's a lot to this research, but for our purposes, let's look at a couple of different takeaways. First of all, yes, Bernie Sanders gets much more positive mentions than Hillary Clinton does. And of the negative mentions of Hillary Clinton, a fair amount of them are not sexist. Some of them are right-wing conspiracy theories. There's a lot of Benghazis. There's also a lot of Wall Street, Goldman Sachs, release your speeches type tweets, which of course are legitimate criticisms of Hillary Clinton. Now, there certainly is some sexism that Hillary Clinton faces on Twitter. And they looked at it by using mentions of gendered terms, including emotion, things like that, as well as outright inappropriate terms and awful terms like calling her a bitch and using other types of kind of vile sexist language. And they measured it to see whose supporters were most likely to use that kind of language. And of course, it was not Bernie Sanders supporters. In fact, it was Donald Trump supporters. It was Republicans. People on the right were much more likely to use that language than Bernie Sanders supporters. So now we can definitively say, and I recommend everybody read this article called In These 6 Charts Show How Much Sexism Hillary Clinton Faces on Twitter. It's in the Washington Post. Now we can definitively say that not only was Bernie Bros definitively debunked as a force of the media, as a force of Bernie surrogates, it's also definitively debunked with most people who support him on Twitter. This was a bullshit campaign meme from the beginning. It's time to have an argument on the merits. The Clinton campaign and Clinton supporters really need to move away from disingenuous arguments, get things on the merits. And so, is there an overwhelming amount or even significant amount of sexism targeted at Hillary Clinton by Bernie Sanders supporters on Twitter? Absolutely not. That is debunked. All sexism is unacceptable. But let's focus on the real issues.